No introduction? I will, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, today after the meeting of Baltic States Defense Ministers, we are hosting a joint press conference by the presence of the Minister of Defense of Lithuania, Laurynas Kasčiūnas, Minister of Defense of Estonia, Hanno Pevkuras, Minister of Defense of Latvia, Andris Sprūds. I would like to invite Minister Laurynas Kasčiūnas to share his remarks. Minister Kasčiūnas,
hello, good day to everybody, our media community. Thank you. We're glad to have you here. So, of course, we can talk a lot because it was really the Defense Council with real content on many things and many domains. I will mention maybe the top priority areas, but we are like one voice and acting as a brothers, and it is of course important for all our security. So first of all, upcoming NATO summit, our priority is executability of NATO defense plans. We need to fill the gaps which still exist. We want to see the progress in all defense planning and dedicating of the forces and in all domains what is needed for our defense planning. So of course we have a common vision here. We need a big progress here. So we hope at the Washington summit will give this progress for eastern flank, because we believe that deterrence by denial, which is now the integral part of NATO defense planning, is a crucial principle which should be realized in the practice. So one thing. Another thing, air defense rotational model, you know, from Vilnius summit we have agreement we will attract the capabilities from allies to rotate here for trainings in our region. We have a good news from Netherlands, you know, for 2 weeks we will come here for trainings with a Patriot system. So we agreed to sign the letter of all 3 Baltic state ministers to the Secretary General, to other important persons in NATO architecture for the trainings on their umbrella of this air rotational model. So it's one of also big priorities to have a rotational model in practice. On Ukraine, all 3 countries are doing what we can supporting Ukraine. All aim of our countries is to reach annually 0.25 of GDP for defense support, and all countries are reaching it. And we call it as a role model, as an example for others, but others also should contribute which amount, such kind of amount. And if you could compare, if you could count, it would be a tremendous support to Ukraine. Defense line, Baltic defense line, agreed last year. We are moving forward on implementation of this idea and this project. Every country is moving on a different mechanisms and different national tools. But national plans we will synchronize, we will meet on the borders. All countries have their plans, and we will present all from our side. I can say from Lithuanian side, what in the end of the summer we already will start to fill our counter mobility parks near the borders with Kaliningrad and near the borders with Belarus. According to the model, it means if intelligence shows that is a red light already with fortification measures like Iron Eagles, Hispanic horses, dragon teeth, blocks will be delivered to the places where, for example, the enemy can plan to enter. At the same time, we also plan to establish a permanent fortification in several places of Lithuanian border, and it will be also, I would say, breakthrough in our counter mobility policy, and it's of course linked to our tools on counter mobility, especially when we are now purchasing the mines, which is always also our common interest, to also to have a possibility to stop enemy adversary if they plan to do something bad in our countries. So we have common idea on Baltic defense line, but at the same time every country is moving on their own path, and we just coordinating, what is also very important. Of course, we had a lot of conversation and agreements how to strengthen our navy cooperation in many other fields, air surveillance, water, underwater monitoring, that kind of important topics also were discussed. So I will stop here, and of course I will turn to my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Now I invite Minister Hanno Pevkuras to deliver his statements.
Thank you very much. It's always good to be in Lithuania, and especially here in Palanga. It's a very beautiful city, and thank you, Laurynas, for inviting us to this beautiful city. Well, I will also start with NATO, and regarding NATO, I want to talk about AC/DC, and it's not the heavy metal band AC/DC. So it's our initiative. We drafted that in Estonia, and I'm very happy that all the Baltic states are now jointly behind that initiative. And when I'm trying to translate that now is the Allied Capability Development Commitment. So it's about executability, what Laurynas said, because when we take the regional plans, then one of the gaps, what we see there are different capabilities. Of course, air defense is something we have given a lot jointly to Ukraine, and that means that we need to have a very clear answer to our people, to our societies, what we will do with capability shortages. And this is why we are proposing to all the allies to approve the AC/DC concept, so initiative, and to move forward with the capability development. To do that, of course, we need more money. And I'm very glad to see that also Latvia and Lithuania are joining very soon, or Latvia maybe already joined 3% club. It's quite an elite club today in NATO. So we have only Estonia, Poland, Greece, and US spending 3%. When Latvia and Lithuania will join, then we will have 6 countries only in NATO who are spending 3% on our national defense. But what we agreed in Vilnius, that 2% should be the absolute minimum, then today we see, looking at the capability gaps, looking at this, what we have to achieve, 2% is not enough. So we are urging all the allies to invest at least 2.5%, and why not to join the club of 3%. So I believe this is also a very good message towards the United States, because the United States has always said that the countries have to invest more, especially European countries, and the Baltic states are the role models and good examples here what we are doing. So the second thing I wanted to touch today are the joint procurements and joint initiatives. We know that all our countries need to do more, and as we have more money, we can buy more. Especially ammunition, air defense, many other capabilities. And my message is very clear, that we have to do more together, because that saves us money, that saves us spare parts, need, sustainment, also training, and many other details what we will or what we can do together when we are starting to procure more together. We are doing that together already. So with Lithuania, the field hospitals, with Latvia, air defense and vehicles, many other assets. But for sure we have a lot more to do in joint procurements. Baltic Defense Line, yes, Estonian actions or Estonian plans are so that we are doing the first positions in nearest weeks to show to the locals and to show to the local municipalities what that means, what that is, and to explain them why it is important to do these fortifications during the peacetime, because during the wartime we might not have enough time for that. Of course, when we take Ukraine, you probably know that Point 25 initiative we launched last year, in the end of last year, has been well accepted in Western countries. And I'm very, very glad that Latvia and Lithuania already committed to Point 25. Estonia has done that for the next 4 years. And we've done more than 0.25% also this year already. And I'm also, very happy that the Baltic countries are showing the leadership. We are leading the IT coalition, Lithuania's demining and Latvians drone coalition, and these are very good role examples how we can, in specific areas, help Ukrainians to win this war, because one thing is for Ukraine to win the war, but the other thing, which might be even more important, is that Russia will lose this war. Russia will have to accept the international law and to understand that there is no compromise from our side regarding taking by force or by aggression someone's territory. So this is why we are standing with Ukraine, not only as long as it takes, but as much as it takes. And I would like to also thank Andris for taking over for half a year or a bit more the Baltic air patrolling mission in Lillvarde, which is conducted at the moment by Germans, and it's also a very good sign of very, very good cooperation. So, of course, I would like to talk about many things, but considering that you might have many questions and Andris have much to say, so I will stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Pevkur. I would like to invite Minister Andris Sprūds to share his remarks.
Distinguished media representatives, good afternoon. Many thanks to Laurynas, also Hanno, for excellent discussions today, of course, Laurynas also for hospitality. We had a productive, frank, dynamic, very good discussions. I think also this event is an excellent demonstration of Baltic solidarity and unity. And we have Baltic solidarity and unity strong actually on strategic level, but also on practical level. On strategic level, certainly we see that what is our common vision. We understand fully what is the threat assessment. We share the threat assessment. We need to be unified. We need to support Ukraine as much as possible, as long as it takes, and also to contain Russia. Also practically, we are doing next steps. There are a lot of practical steps already done. The Baltic Defense College is an excellent example. In the previous Baltic format, we signed a Baltic Defense Line Agreement, and we are moving also practically with plans and implementing those plans. Now it's time also to coordinate, to exchange best practices, and also to make common procurements in this regard. As was mentioned, procurements also for our capabilities, common procurements are important. Also today, we decided, of course, move forward with development of Baltic Defense College, and also with strengthening cooperation between special operation forces of 3 Baltic countries. We can really be proud of our special operation forces, and there is also additional format in this regard. As for the main tasks, we should continue with national level. I think we are doing a good homework in terms of investing, I would say, both politically, strategically, and financially. As was mentioned, 3% is pretty much the benchmark already all our 3 countries are either reached or they are reaching. It means that, of course, we are able to strengthen our capabilities, but it is also important that we show a leadership role, that in these times, in these critical times, Baltic countries are also leading by example, and investment is an important example. At the same time, of course, things can be done more always, and here, again, the 3 Baltic nations can also make a lot of common things and joint things also to make even more efficient, let us say, our lot of activities. We are fulfilling responsibly host nation statuses. We also, of course, met with the German Minister of Defense yesterday, but in Latvia and in Lithuania. But of course, also there are also other framework nations, Brits and also Canadians, and we are developing our infrastructure. So infrastructure must be developed. So I think we are very well moving forward the brigade size presence of the NATO presence in the Baltic countries, which strengthens the whole eastern flank. NATO unity is absolutely crucial. 75th anniversary summit in Washington will be very symbolic in strategic terms, but also very practical in implementing executability of regional plans, but at the same time, of course, also moving with other plans, other goals forward as well. It's extremely important to have a strong air defense for the all NATO alliance. So rotational model is also one of the instruments in terms of reaching the air defense, efficient air defense for NATO as alliance, but also for the Baltic countries. So that's why, of course, here we're absolutely on the same page. We are strategically unified that we should, of course, also advocate and motivate, move forward with rotational model, which of course also would strengthen air defenses in the region. Last but not least, it's support for Ukraine. We all understand Ukraine is fighting for its own freedom, but also for rules-based international order and for credibility and efficiency of also alliance. So that's why continuous support is absolutely instrumental, indispensable, and is not replaceable. So we should also show strong leadership in this regard. Baltic countries have committed themselves exactly 0.25% of our GDP for military support. Latvia also has signed just recently the agreement on security commitment to Ukraine on 0.25% of our GDP for Ukraine in military terms. Of course, I think we are doing a lot of work on training, on equipment supplies, on ammunition supplies. We also joined the Czech initiative in this regard. And last but not least, in terms of supporting Ukraine, we all are leaders in capability coalitions, IT coalitions Estonia, the mining coalition Lithuania, and drone coalition Latvia. We believe also that this is an extremely important instrument and framework to deepen and expand cooperation, to supply with those very necessary capabilities and needs, means what Ukraine needs to win the war. At the same time, I think it also strengthens our cooperation because we are three countries which are next to the table, or the leading nations, framework nations table, who lead exactly the capability coalitions, which is extremely important as well for us to be present and to influence decisions on a wider scale. So that's why I think the Baltic unity is alive and kicking, and of course it's strong, and this, once more, event was excellent example of hospitality, but also strong unity and strategic joint vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Sprūds. Now we open the floor to representatives of the media. We kindly ask to present yourself, indicate affiliation, and state for whom the question is addressed.
Paulius Selezniovas, Lithuanian National Radio, dear ministers. I have a question for all of you, but it's not about today's meeting. It's more about today's news. I think you all heard what the Moscow Times writes about Russia's plans to move a border in Baltic Sea near the Finland and Lithuania. So I have few questions. So is there any dangers for Baltic countries? And how Baltic countries and NATO should react to Russia's plans? Thank you.
So unexpected question, I would say. Can I switch to Lithuanian? It's better for you, maybe, yeah? Okay. And then the colleagues will talk. Will talk in.
Say to us also what you said.
You know what I will say, no? So, tai, žiūrėkit, pradėkim nuo to, kad kažkoks vienašališkas pareiškimas, kuris jokių būdų dar nėra patvirtintas ir žinom, kad jau atsitraukimas jaučiasi nepagrįstas tarptautinė teisė, jokių tarptautinių pripažinimų yra niekinis iš principų. Tai čia yra principinė nuostata. Mano įsitikinimu tai yra tas bandymas pamatuoti temperatūrą, kažkiek įmesti sumaišties, kažkiek chaoso, kažkiek įtampų, pažiūrėti kaip reaguojama. Na, čia tam tikro informacinio, psajopsinio, hibridinio karo dalis, kuri matyti, na, yra visiškai neatsiejama Rusijos modus operandi. Su kuo tai galėtų būti susiję? Manau, kad keičiasi galios balansas Baltijos jūroje. Kitaip tariant, Rusija supranta, kad su Suomijos, Švedijos įstojimu į NATO, iš esmės Baltijos jūra tampa vidinė NATO jūra. Ir tai, tam tikrą prasme, matyt, verčia imtis va tokių, sakykime taip, keistų sprendimų, provokacijų, bandant, na, kažkuria prasme, galbūt per įtampą, na, keis situaciją. Tai tam tikros konvulsijos, sakyčiau, geopolitinės, taip netgi vardinčiau, nes iš esmės galios balansas su dviejų mūsų šiauriečių prisijungimu, jis tikrai keičiasi ir mums į gerąją pusę. Ir ypač, kai turint omeny mūsų šitų šalių naujų prisijungusių pajėgumą, būtent jūrinėme domene. Tai aš tai viską vertinkim blaiviai, svarbiausia, ramiai, išlaikytai ir solidžiai. Tokių atvejų gali būti ir daugiau, tiesiog. Tai yra realybė, prie to, na, nepripraskim, bet turėkim tai galvoje. Ir ką galima pasakyti? NATO planai, apie kuriuos mes šiandien ir kalbėjom, jie dabar jau formuojami pagal principą atgrasimas per paneigimą. Jeigu užsidega kokia nors žvalgybinė lemputė, kad kažkur tai aplink Baltijos šalis prasideda pajėgų telkimas ne treniruotėm, ne raumenų demonstravimui, bet realiems veiksmams, pagal dabartinį planavimą tos pajėgos, kurios jau yra čia sąjungininkų su mūsų nacionaliniam pajėgom, pasipildo pastiprinimu tam, kad galima būtų atgrasyti priešo veiksmus. Kitaip tariant, tapom stipresni, lankstesni, greičiau priimantys sprendimus. Tik dabar dar atidirbinėjom, kad visą tai vyktų dar greičiau ir tie pajėgumai būtų dar didesni. Tai kitaip tariant, be abejo, šalis turi pati ruoštis, turi pati atgrasyti. Šalia 5 straipsnio yra 3 straipsnis, kuris savo, kad valstybė turi pati gebėti gintis. Ta mes ir darom. Ta daro Lietuva, ta daro ir Latvija, ta daro Estija. Pradėjom daugiau dabar dirbti su visuomenė, primenu komendantūrų visi sprendimai, pradedam divizijos kūrimą ir sunkinimu, ir su oro gynybos sprendiniais efektyviais. Tai būsimi, turėsim ir geležinį kumštį, turėsim ir visuomenę, stiprią, atsparę, integruotą gynybos planus su visais saugumo, NATO saugumo planais, garantijomis, algoritmais ir taip pat grasysim priešą.
Būtų signalai, tai būtų kažkokia reakcija. Tai aš teisingai suprantu signalų, kad tos mintis, tie Rusijos planai, kurie aprašomi žiniasklaidoje, galėtų virsti veiksmai, šiai minutiai nėra tokių.
Tikrai nėra.
Well, as I see it, there are different aspects. First is purely juridical. Russia cannot do that when you take the international maritime law. Secondly, juridical part has never been a problem for Russia, so they are never, or they have been never obeying to the international law. What we see also at the moment in Ukraine, so they are just doing whatever they want, not looking at the international law. So this is once again the proof that they don't care about international law. But now we come to the message, and the message is that you know, it's so surprisingly interesting that only one newspaper, Moscow Times, found out from the document register something like that. So I call these steps like prepared improvisation. So Russia is testing us, how we react on that. And as we see, every one of you want to know what we will do. We will not jump into the fire. We are taking that very calmly. We will find out all the information about that, and as we have found out, so Russia is also already backing off from its information. So every time you see something, especially from the Russian media, my advice is very simple. Please be careful, because normally it is either fake news or deliberate psyops. Thank you.
Well, Russia is testing us continuously and will be testing us continuously, and we of course have experienced the hybrid attacks already in the past, be it cyber attacks, be it weaponization of illegal immigration, be it incidents against critical infrastructure, be it disinformation campaigns. So this is nothing new. I think we've been used to it, and we are ready also to react. Exactly, so I think reaction here is important, but not overreaction. So certainly we should not panic, because we know what we deal with, but of course we should also react in a unified way, as we did it in the past. Also in this case, it's not just a Lithuania or Finnish challenge, it is a challenge or issue of the whole NATO alliance. So we stand together. We also here, of course, stand together with our Lithuanian partners. And if there will be necessity, of course, there will be next steps taken. So I think once more, react but not overreact, to keep credibility, to keep unified approach. And this is, I think, the best solution, and not to fall into the trap of some kind of disinformation provocations as well in this case. Thank you.
Jurga Andriauskaitė, BNS naujienų agentūra. Užduosiu gal anglų kalbą, kad kolegos suprastų, bet klausimas jums būtų. Where specifically are you planning to establish permanent fortifications in Lithuania you have mentioned? How many of them are there going to be, and when?
Okay, I will start saying what in the end of June we will announce our counter-mobility plan. with several segments, with counter-mobility parks, with the places where it will be fixed and permanent stationing of these counter-mobility measures, when we gonna do it, when we gonna install it, and other also integral parts of the plan. So end of June, presentation of a plan. End of summer, counter-mobility measures are coming. And end of summer, early autumn, installation in some concrete places, which I would not like to say today. But probably I will tell for all of you end of June.
If I may immediately, I think that exactly sort of the Lithuanian plan is also the part of the wider Baltic defense line. I think it was excellent and important decision back in January when we made this agreement. And of course, each country is proceeding with plans and planning. And here certainly we can also think about some common procurement as well, and some common, of course, exchange of practices and exercises. So also Latvia is moving forward. We have already established or signed or confirmed a counter-mobility plan, which includes a number of physical obstacles, mines and sensors, and also actually how we deal with infrastructure as well, sort of to create counter-mobility on all the borders. So that's why, of course, here we are very also happy and open to cooperate with our partners and to exchange those practices.
I will have a very short comment on defense line. Please let's understand that this is something we can do during the peacetime. It's this, you can put it to the same level or the same row as we are buying new capabilities. Air defense, ammunition, we are making trainings, exercises. So this is, this should be seen, the Baltic defense line should be seen as one of these measures, what we can do during the peacetime to guarantee our people the peace. So, I'm often being asked also that what that means or how you will be now doing this in our land or on our land. No, it's once again, we are doing that to defend our countries.
Okay, I have one more question for our ministers. Yesterday, Minister Kasčiūnas mentioned plans to buy IRIS-T, joint acquisitions of air defense systems planned.
As we all know, Estonia and Latvia is working together on IRIS-T project. So already they are purchasing that platform, and they, of course, ministers can tell about that more. We started from NASAMS. We implemented already first stage of NASAMS. We have one battery. Second battery, so it's a second system, is coming on 26th. And now is discussions, and we will make a decisions. Should we go with a third battery, which will be a decision very soon, I promise you, to go with a NASAMS third, and then fourth on IRIS-T. So it's a just question of time where IRIS-T will be on our agenda. And of course, we will ask Latvians and Estonians colleagues about IRIS-T experience, but I really know it's a good system, effective system, and proven in Ukraine, as NASAMS systems too. So, very could be reality in the near future, but all Baltics will be on the IRIS-T platform.
Yeah, maybe I will just have to explain a bit what air defense means. Air defense is not only medium-range air defense, what IRIS-T is providing at the moment. So air defense starts actually with the small rifles. And when we take Shahed drones, what you see in Ukraine, then quite effective are just the small arms what you are using in everyday defense. The next layer is then manpads for short-range air defense called SHORAD. We have from Poland system Piorun. We have many different systems, Mistrals. In our countries we have Stingers. So this is the short-range air defense. Then comes the medium range, which is then IRIS-T or NASAMS. And yes, we've acquired the IRIS-T together with Latvia. We made a joint procurement. We are very glad that IRIS-T is the one, because the efficiency rate for IRIS-T in Ukraine is very close to 100. The one missile they missed was because the range was too long. and Ukrainians tested, will it reach also beyond 40 kilometers? But inside of 40 kilometers, the hit rate is basically 100%. And then comes the ballistic defense. Why IRIS-T is also important. IRIS-T is, and Deal Defense, who is producer of IRIS-T, is working at the moment also on that to provide with the same system also the ballistic defense. So this is why I believe that for the future, of course, when we can have more options also financially, because this is a heavy burden for all of us, because IRIS-T system or NASAM systems, they are extremely expensive. 2-3 batteries means hundreds of millions. So we need to make decisions wisely. But my main message regarding the joint procurement still is that all these big systems we should buy together, to exactly what I said in my comments in the beginning, to save money, spare parts, training, etc.
Yes, just to follow up my colleagues, we should remember that, of course, air defense is crucial. Ukraine, the case in Ukraine, of course, absolutely demonstrates it, that to protect human life, to protect civilian infrastructure, also military infrastructure, the air defense is absolutely instrumental. And here we should approach in a way, in a 3-track approach. One is national level, that of course we should build a multi-layered approach nationally, also including the short-range air defense systems, like already here was mentioned, in Latvia it's RBS 70. But of course then we move to already more regional levels. This is the medium-range air defense systems, and here we can speak about common procurement. Already we've done some common procurement, and again we exchange the best practices and information among us. But the most important part also here is interoperability, that all those systems are integrated, all those systems act efficiently together, and we all 3 Baltic countries regionally are protected. Last but not least, the 3rd track is more long range, and also the dimension and presence of our allies. So that's what also we already said at the beginning, that rotational air defense model is extremely important, that those assets, what also are having our allies, that they are being also used for protection of the Baltic region. So that's why there is a number of integrated dimensions we do together to protect. So we can do quite a number of things together, nationally and also within NATO alliance.
Last time for the last question, if we have.
I think it's clear.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so the press conference is over.
Have a good
Thank you
time,
very
yeah.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.